You can talk now.
No.
No, but you have to. This is your sound check.
I sat next to Santa Claus yesterday.
Yeah? Did you see him kissing anyone?
No.
Well, that's confusing. That is not what the song promised me.
I tell you what, I'm very disappointed about how gender normative Santa Claus is. We went with 2 girls and a boy. Guess who got the best present?
Was it the girl?
No.
Was it the boy?
Yes. Right, the 2 girls, right? Scarlett. It was Scarlett, Mim, her cousin, Ish.
Is it short for Miriam?
Yeah, and Bertie, her Mim's brother.
Bertie's not a real name.
It is. It's his name. He's very cute, Bertie, actually. Right, and Scarlett and Mim both got like these sort of... Mim's 6, Scarlett's 4, obviously. Mm-hmm. Scarlett got this make your giraffe sock puppet thing. So she gets 2 socks, some cotton and some buttons, and a 40-step instruction guide that she can't possibly hope to complete on her own because it's sewing and all sorts.
Yeah.
Mim got these really weird, complicated pop-up card things, so they're both very crafty. Bertie gets this massive box of fucking cars.
What that seems to be suggesting to me, though...
And guess what happened when the cars got broken out?
What?
They're all on the floor playing with the cars.
Of course.
Yeah.
What it sounds like that's assuming is, it sounds like it's assuming that girls are somehow that much cleverer than boys.
I don't think it's that. I think it's more... That sort of stuff sort of seems to sort of girls like doing very quiet, pretty things, whereas boys like playing with noisy toys on the floor, and girls like sitting at the table quietly sewing.
Maybe it'd be better if all of them did the girl-centric stuff.
Next year, I'm just going to ask for a boy's present.
We had odd, because we were away at the weekend. We had our first Christmas, our first fake Christmas. We have 3.
Okay, well done.
And
is that why Noah looked so confused this morning?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. He was we were with the in-laws. Both my wife and her sister are pregnant at the moment.
Congratulations on both of you for doing the sex up the lady.
My sister-in-law is is not far off having their baby.
Wow, could be a Christmas Day baby.
Yeah, could be.
Got to call it Jesus.
I think you have to. It's like the law.
That is the law.
Can you hear me okay?
Sorry?
Can you hear me okay? Mm-hmm. Can you hear me okay?
No.
You can though, can't you? Oh.
Yeah.
So their little boy is a little bit older than Noah, and he's bigger and he's more, he's doing more things. Mm. He's always been a little bit nervous of Noah, but that's getting a little bit better as time goes on.
Oh, good. I'm glad it's not just me. I'm nervous of Noah too.
Yeah, he's nerve-wracking.
He looks punchy.
He is a bit punchy. Oh, we can talk about that in a minute if you like.
Good.
He's also got those eyelashes.
He is gorgeous, though.
They're very confusing, those eyelashes.
Because at the moment my wife takes him to nursery for you guys on a Monday and a Thursday.
Yeah.
So I get to see him before I go to work, and he is adorable. I do my mornings. I don't think Nikki's mornings are better, but my mornings are better when I see Noah because he cheers me up. No end.
She's been doing lots. She's great, your wife.
Well, I like her very...
We've been very, very grateful for that.
Her very... Well, it's what friends do, I think, for each other, I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Friends will be friends. When you need a hand, they'll give you care and attention.
Yeah, and we're trying to live by that.
Thank you for being our friends.
Yeah, we
down that road.
Your heart is true. You're a friend and a confidant.
Yeah. If I went to a party, if I held a party and invited everyone, if you threw a party and invited everyone you knew, I'd expect to be on the guest list because otherwise it'd be awkward.
Why do I get the feeling this isn't the first time in our time podcasting together that we've done that?
Riffed on the Golden Girls.
Yeah, I'm sure we've done that before.
I think it's the first time for that Queen song, though.
Possibly. Is it possible that after almost 6 years of podcasting together that we've exhausted absolutely everything?
Every single single possible conversation.
Every humorous riff we've done.
So, his cousin, Noah's cousin, a little bit nervous of him. His eyelashes are weird. I thought they'd get smaller as he got bigger, yeah. But they're like the cat on Pepe Le Pew.
Pepe Le Pew.
Is
oh,
it
the female cat.
The cat.
The
Well,
one
I mean, she's the only
distracting.
cat. Yeah.
Oh, because Pepe Le Pew's a skunk, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a skunk.
I was thinking of Sylvester.
There's a cat. Pepe Le Pew is a skunk, and then there's always a cat. Looks very similar to a female version of Sylvester.
Yeah, I mean, they should get together.
She's got big batty eyelashes, and always accidentally gets some paint spilled on her, and then effectively Pepe Le Pew spends the rest of the thing trying to sexually assault her.
She always gets a white stripe painted down her back, and Pepe Le Pew really, he's an unreconstructed male, isn't he?
So not only is he ethnically very fixated on people who are the exact same ethnicity as he is, or species, which I suppose isn't quite so bad.
You know, I think that's probably okay.
But he's also incredibly, I don't want to say rapey, because I feel like that's become a bit too easy to say, sexually assaulty.
He is. Whenever I see the everyday sexism hashtag, I think of Pepe Le Pew.
It's always him doing it.
I wish the female cat would start shouting back.
Yeah. Holler back, girl.
Although, to be fair,
taking back the streets.
She's generally not having any of it, is she?
She doesn't like it.
No,
she doesn't. She doesn't like it. So anyway,
she is very gorgeous, though. I mean, you know.
Yeah, it's the eyelashes.
So it's her fault.
So it's possible that's why Noah's cousin is nervous of him because of his eyelashes.
Well, he thinks he's a female cat.
Just thinks he's gorgeous.
Okay.
But anyway, so
he is adorable, though.
So
you know that, right?
Yeah, I think so. But I think you're supposed to feel that way about your own child.
Oh, I'm going to tell you because I don't find all children adorable.
Do you find that your child makes you find your partner more attractive again because of the traits that they have in common with your partner? Because I've never not found my wife attractive. I've always found her quite attractive, but for when I look at Noah looks a lot more like Amy than he does me, and it just makes me adore her more. I always found her attractive, and I always loved her, but I'm like, seeing how cute he is. I always thought she was attractive. I don't know if I ever thought she was cute.
That's possibly the Greekest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
I find my wife more attractive
since
now
she's given me a boy child.
Because she looks like my man child.
Yeah, I think maybe that's... It is a very Greek thing. So anyway, his cousin's a little bit nervous of him. Has always been a little bit nervous of him, but he's been okay. He was better this time. It makes sense. He spends more time with the grandparents than Noah does. So the house, it's weird for him having another baby there. So he's been trying to be, he's a bit more of a sport, except that Noah has taken to, they don't really quite understand sharing. At that age, and he's taken to basically his cousin, and I'm saying his cousin, I'm not saying his name because I haven't asked permission or anything, but so his cousin will be sitting on the sofa with a toy, and Noah will just go over to him and just grab the toy.
Brilliant.
Because Noah's smaller than him, but apparently more physically sort of dominant. Will just take the toy off him, which will freak his cousin out, but then Noah will just place the toy in between them so that they can both reach it and play with it.
Okay.
So I think Noah thinks that what he's doing is saying, I don't think he's trying to take the toy. I think he's just coming over and saying, I like the look of this, let's play with this together. But I don't necessarily think it's having the desired effect because he's already made the other kid nervous by that point.
Is it him or parents' reaction to how he is around Noah, do you think?
No, the parents are lovely. I mean, my sister-in-law they're both really good with Noah, but my sister-in-law is just lovely with him, I think. So
no, more like, don't hurt him, be careful, don't do that. You said he's older than Noah, right?
Yeah, I don't think that's ever been on the cut, because he's always been way more nervous he's always been a bit nervous of Noah. And it's like there's 6 months...
spiders, though, isn't it? Silly, because Noah's probably more nervous of him than he is.
I don't think Noah's really nervous of anything.
I think it's the same with spiders, to be honest with you. I think they say the spider's more scared of you. I don't think a spider gives a flying monkeys, to be honest with you.
You mentioned hitting.
Yes.
Noah does hit. I'm guessing he doesn't do it to you or Nicola. I get the feeling...
No, I hit him back, mate.
Coming
to my house, throwing his weight around.
I think he only does it to me and Amy because he does it more with Amy than he does with me, and I think it's because there's no concept of hurting. That's not the intention. I think he thinks it's funny because he hits himself sometimes as well. Like he hits himself on the head. And I asked Reddit what Reddit thought, because I still do that sometimes. Reddit did pretty much what I expected it to. It gave me, it suggested pretty much the same advice that I'd read everywhere else, but also was a little bit worried on my behalf, even though I'd already said, look, we're not worried about this. He's young.
But then did it get to the point where it told you to stop overthinking it?
No, not this time,
right,
although I haven't checked in recently. I did read on one, I think it was on Yahoo Answers, that someone said, we're normally very gentle, but one time our son this is on Yahoo Answers, not on Reddit. One time, my son, I think it was son, hit me, and just as a reflex, because it hurt and it surprised me, I hit him back, and I mean, it was awful, and I felt awful about it. And then they say underneath, I have to admit, I have done it a couple of times since.
Brilliant.
But then he said, but they haven't done it since. So, I mean, I don't recommend hitting your child all the time, but maybe once or twice.
No.
I don't think it's a good idea.
No, I think it's a really, really bad idea. Do you know how we deal with it? Scarlett still does it occasionally. Tell her it's naughty and you give her a time-out.
Yeah.
She hates time-outs.
Noah doesn't really understand time-outs.
No, he won't. No.
But what, I mean... What I don't mind.
You have to withdraw affection and food from him.
Yeah, that's basically it. I don't. The thing is, it's like, well, we can't really do. It doesn't mean anything at the moment. The problem is that at this stage, although you can't explain anything to them at his age, there is the concern that by not addressing behaviour at all, it will just become normal, and then that's a problem.
You can show disapproval.
Yeah.
So at that age, you say no, don't you? I mean, you start the long list of no's that you're going to start saying to them over the years.
The weird thing about no is, if he's walking towards something that he's not supposed to go towards, and you say no, he understands.
Yeah.
With the hitting, he seems to find it funny, and actually, the laughing freaks Amy out a little bit more than the hitting.
You know, he's taunting you, doesn't he? He's basically he's figured out that he can take the two of you now.
Yeah. So I did take some advice. I think it was from Reddit. I read it in a few different places, though. Do you think maybe it's called Reddit because you read it?
No.
Okay, good.
I think it was the whole thing was started by a guy called Winston Reddit.
Oh, okay.
It's named after him.
Oh, okay. I'll buy that.
Ironically, he couldn't read. Very, very good at coding, but couldn't read. It's the damnedest thing.
I did the thing where Noah hit me, and he didn't hit me as hard as he has done, actually, but he hit me, and I thought, in that moment, without consulting with Amy, I thought, oh, I'll try this thing that I read. Not the hitting thing, another thing, where I pretended he'd really hurt me, and I went, oh, wow, ow. And then every time, his first reaction to that was surprise.
Yeah.
So he went to touch me more gently to see how I was. And as the instructions said, I said, no, ow, that just hurts more, ow. And then I started fake crying, and he tried again. And I said, no, oh, don't, it hurts. And I was doing a very good job of faking crying. And I think he got it. Because he started crying.
Brilliant.
As well.
Well, that's what you want.
And then Amy started admonishing me. That's roughly the sequence of. Oh no,
we've done that. Actually, you're quite right. I remember doing that with Scarlett. It worked really effectively.
I think it's probably good. I'm going to do it more often. If nothing else,
when you think about how they interact with other children, they know when they've gone too far when the other child starts crying.
Yeah.
So no, I think it translates. I think that's a very sound thing to do.
If nothing else, it makes you feel like you've got control back for a minute.
Yeah.
Which as a parent of a young child is really important. So that's, I'm hoping that we've fixed all the hitting now and there'll never be any more violence.
Oh, definitely not, no.
Which is good. I do remember...
There'd just be sharp elbows and knees and they'd crush your testicles on a regular basis.
Yeah. We didn't get the chance to talk about it because it was my fault, I think, last week. I had to... There was some sort of disruption. Amy wasn't well, so I couldn't record last week, so I ended up doing a solo one. So we didn't get to talk about the fact that we came over on the Saturday.
Oh, that was a nice day.
That was a nice day. That went really, really well, except that at the very end of it, Scarlett had one of her friends over, didn't she?
Yeah.
And they were playing dominoes.
Yeah.
And there was just a momentary where Noah did that baby thing of stomping in and just kicking the dominoes.
Oh, she wasn't having it.
She didn't stay angry, though.
No.
She lost her temper with him a little bit for a second, and then she didn't stay angry, which is... Because, I mean, it's all that I can do sometimes when I've built a tower or something, and he comes over and knocks it over to...
Well, that's a bit like me today, where I was working on a document at work, and some pillock was working on something that tripped out all of the computers, and I lost all of the work I've been doing, and I still want to ram his head into the side of a metal railing.
Oh, I never feel that bad with Noah.
All right.
Was he a giant toddler?
No, he was all right. He was just doing his job. He didn't understand. No, but he does the electrical bits, and we do the computery bits. He probably thinks we just sit around all day on our asses talking about Strictly Come Factor or something.
Which you don't do. Instead, you do podcasts about all of the things you want to talk about.
That's right. Although I do talk about things I like to watch, which is good. Which is mostly Trailer Park Boys and Getting Dug with High at the moment. That's all I'm able to watch. I
spent a chunk of today, having not watched Russell Brand and Nigel Farage on Question Time, talking about how one of the biggest problems we've got is the only people who get to speak are fucking white middle-class narcissists. White male middle-class narcissists talking over everyone else. And
I don't know what you're talking about.
And I realised after doing that for about 20 minutes in the office at the end of the day, when there weren't that many people around, that basically I wasn't letting anyone else get a word in. And I had to cut that conversation off dead because I needed to come and record a podcast.
What you should have done at that point is stopped.
Yeah.
And then made it very clear where you feel your ethnicity sits.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm definitely off-white, aren't I?
Should have sat there going, I am not the whitest person in this room!
It was interesting. I'm feeling a bit burned out, to be honest.
It's Christmas. Don't you think Christmas does that to everyone? You get this sort of thing. I was thinking about this walking over it. You just automatically start to shut down. I have the rhythm of Christmas. Is this week is pretty much everything as far psychologically draws to a close.
Yeah.
And you relax in the Christmas and you have a nice couple of days over Christmas. And then the dread starts to kick in as I hate New Year's. It actually makes me feel a little bit sicky in my stomach.
I like New Year's. I don't actually mind New Year's that much because I tend to think it's quite meaningless. I mean, I kind of know that at some point in the night I'm going to feel like if I don't watch at least a bit of Hootenanny, then I'm missing out. Which is the nearest. I mean, if I thought about that, I'd probably dread it because it's never worth it.
I just find it's a horrible. I mean, my father died on New Year's Day back in 1999, but even before then, so there's that mixed into it. But even before then, it filled me with dread. It's such a horrible, visceral reminder of your mortality and how unstoppably time marches forward without any thought of us that it's those it's leaving behind. It's horrible. It's the unstoppable nature of progress, and it's horrible. I find it very depressing.
I'm not too worried about progress because that doesn't really seem to be happening. Actually, I think we're probably more progressive in general. We're above the average for how if there's an average of how the world is progressing, you and I are probably above the average.
I am too white to say, so I don't want to.
But generally progress the world isn't marching forward or onwards or upwards or anything. Certainly doesn't seem to be. It seems to just be relentless.
Isn't it always marching forward? Is it everything's marching forward? That's the thing I hate about time. Is it always has to be forward? Can't we just have a year or we just agree that it sort of just stops for a bit? Well, we have two 2015s or something.
It's funny that you should say that because I think this is the first year that I've really started to feel like maybe I'm getting a bit. It's the first year where I felt a little bit SAD, seasonal affective disorder.
Yeah, absolutely.
And actually, I don't think it is that because I don't normally mind winter. I don't mind it. It's not that. I don't mind the cold.
It's actually my favourite season.
Yeah, it doesn't really bother me.
It's because it's dark. I like to hide in the dark.
And the dark doesn't really bother me. But
anyway,
but more than anything this year, I've because of the house, because we started trying to move and buy a house and sell a house in January this year.
Jeez.
And it's really not, it's not as if it's just taken a long time. There have been lots of false starts and lots of problems with that. And it's been difficult to plan. Like, for example, the last few years, I've very much been gardening lots.
You have?
And this year, because it looked like we weren't going to be in a house, I didn't bother doing anything. So I gardened in a state, and I feel that that's reflective of my sense of well-being at a certain amount. And although we got pregnant, and we're pregnant, and that's lovely, and we have a baby due in March, which is definitely a good thing. And it's been a lovely time with Noah. And we launched a podcast, or relaunched a podcast. I've been quite happy with how that's going. Although obviously there are frustrations with, like, all work and with all projects and stuff like that. There are always sort of things that aren't going as quickly as you'd hope. In terms of all of the big stuff, like, I haven't really written anything this year or anything. I found it very difficult to plan anything major because...
Just put your life on hold.
Yeah, knowing we're going to be moving soon is putting life on hold, and it finally seems to be happening. But one thing that I realised in the last couple of weeks, well, no, actually, one thing I've just realised this afternoon is, in the last few days, we've had to sort out our mortgage, and we've also had surveyors come round to look at our house. And I don't think you can help, especially when you own a house, but even if you're just, like, renting a house, not just, that sounds like a value judgment, you know what I mean. If you're living in a house for a really long time and you've got any amount of say of what it's like, of how it's decorated and how you arrange stuff in there, it becomes like a reflection of yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
Or a lot, really. And so... I don't think the surveyor part, as what happens when you sell a house, and this sounds daft, I don't mean to be condescending, but not all of our listener will have gone through this necessarily. But two things happen. When you sort out your mortgage, unless you're very, very rich, you normally have to get life insurance. I mean, I assume everyone has to actually. You have to get life insurance especially if there are two of you, so that the bank knows that if you die, there's going to be a payout. They're still going to get the loan back. And at the same time, after everyone's decided what they're going to spend on the houses, and this is a vital part of the process, and I'm very glad this is in place in the terms of us buying a place, you have to send a survey around. I think it's normally the bank. You have to do it for the bank, but you can do it for your own peace of mind as well, where they send a survey around. You can pay for varying levels of survey where they look at the house that you're buying and look at all of the fittings and the structure and all of that, and try and work out what it's actually worth. Again, it's very much tied into the mortgage, but in a lot of ways that means it's also tied into how much someone's going to spend on your house. Did
they take note of the work you did on the toilet cistern? Of course, that was new. Did you go out there and go, that's new, I did that?
Yeah, I fixed that. Yeah. No, I didn't actually. I should have. I wasn't there for the main one.
I wouldn't want to be there either. I'd feel shame.
Well, and Amy was there, and I think she coped okay with it. But yeah, they came round and valued our house, and I was quite confident about our house when we were first selling it a year ago. But it's 100-year-old house, so things start to deteriorate. And I personally, I'm 41. I can empathise. I think I've been relating to that a little bit too much. It's like every time a tap starts not quite working as well, or something goes, and we're not going to replace it because, well, we're about to sell it, or stuff like that. You feel like every new thing that goes suddenly has greater meaning. And also when the surveyor comes around, there's also the slight fear, well, our finances are such that we can't afford to drop a penny off the price or anything like that. So there's the actual financial tension, but there's also this feeling that this place that you've lived in for the last 4 years is being audited and judged. Yeah. And then at the same time, you're having to do your life insurance, which has some very searching questions in it. In my case, a lot of the questions, we failed a little bit on a lot of the questions about my dad, because, of course, they ask you a bunch of questions about your immediate family and whether certain things happened before they were 60.
Yeah.
And in my dad's case, the fact that he's had a heart condition before he was 60, means that we have to pay an extra £8 a month or something like that, because it means that I might. And so on the one hand, that's annoying because it's an extra £8 a month. But on the other hand, it's like it's about me.
Yeah.
The people whose job it is to work out how fit you are long term have taken a look at all the information they've gathered about me and have decided that maybe I'm a little bit more risky than I could have been. And I can't argue because they asked me how much I weigh. I don't know, but I know I probably weigh more than I'm supposed to.
Oh, yeah.
So in the last couple of weeks, it's like all of these, there's been all this judgment, this external judgment coming in. And I can't, and people might say, oh, yeah, but it's just money people. They don't count. But the truth is everything they will have spotted is a genuine thing that I will have spotted myself.
Yeah, for sure.
This time, it's sort of relevant to stuff we've talked about before, and we'll talk about again, and probably we'll talk about it in a little bit. This time, at least, I didn't have to worry about. They ask you questions about mental health, and and it's kind of, have you had to take a period of time off in the last 10 years? It puts you in quite a high risk category, even if you know it was.
That's bullshit. 'Cause they don't pay out for suicide.
No, well, no, exactly. But I mean, it's even if it's like anxiety or it's something that you know. I don't think it's about suicide. I think it's that unhappy people don't last as long.
Yeah, that's true.
I think it just seems longer.
Yeah.
So,
that's the payoff, though, isn't it?
It seems like a lot longer.
Yeah, you're unhappy, but you feel like you've lived twice as long as everyone else, which is great.
A James or a Nick year isn't quite as long as a dog year, but it's getting up there.
Yeah. I'm actually 85 now.
Yeah. The sadder looking a dog is.
Yeah. Oh, poor old basset hounds.
Yeah.
Oh dear. I should get one of those.
If you got a little black one, it'd literally be
a sad black dog.
We've got our own little black, sad little neurotic
yours is a cockhound,
dog.
Isn't it?
Yeah, she's a cockhound. So I don't think that's helping with the winter thing.
No.
I think normally I'm fairly pragmatic about New Year's. I'm like, well, it doesn't really mean anything. But this year I'm feeling that was a year that in our family we did well, but in terms of my personal stuff, I feel like I've been treading water, and I'm at the age where I can't really do that. I shouldn't really be doing that. Talking about mental health, actually, at some point when I have had a chance to evaluate it properly, we really need to look at my relationship with food at the moment.
Oh, okay. You know I'm not your counsellor, don't you?
No, but the listener is. Oh, by the way, this is Two Grown Men.
Fucking hell.
Haven't done that. We've just started.
Half an hour?
Yeah. This is Two Grown Men. Hello, listener. We are Two Grown Men. You can listen to all of our previous episodes at twogrownmen.net, or you can find us anywhere where there's internet. Go onto iTunes or Stitcher or Pocket Casts, or we're on SoundCloud now. If you do a search for Two Grown Men, you should be able to find us. If you do like what you hear, please listen to previous episodes. Talk to us online. I am Nick Sight on Twitter.
I am James MOMB, James Momb.
And the main Twitter account for this podcast, I think, is 2GM Podcast. 2GM Podcast. And our email account is 2gmpodcast@gmail.com.
That's it.
Yeah. And we've got a Facebook page and stuff like that. Please do talk to us. We'd like it if you'd rate and review us in all of the places where you can do that. But obviously, we'd like it more if you just talk to us.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Maybe not to me, because I get anxious.
You have your moments.
About people talking to me, although I'm not too bad now. But I like it when people talk to me, but then also it's the obligation of replying. And if I'm having a bad day and I don't feel like being witty, I feel like this pressure to be, not erudite, but to at least be sort of, moderately humorous when I'm talking to people.
Yeah.
And I just, some days I've got stuff on, I can't do it. And I get angsty about it. It's like when people send me emails. I don't like it when friends send me emails.
Is that pointed?
Particularly you, Nick. No, not you. Anyone. Because it just take me days, because everyone I know is so much more erudite than I am. So when it comes to replying, I just don't, I'm there looking at a blank screen for days on end and then just bail or send back an email saying lol. Very true, innit?
I never require that you be funny.
No, you're all right.
I don't feel that pressure. Anyone who follows me on Twitter knows that I don't feel that pressure at all.
I think you need
to be funny or interesting.
I'd like you to acknowledge your communication privilege.
I think it's free, isn't it? It's not like I can only afford to do it because I'm... What's the privilege? Well, you mean the ability to...
Yeah, you have the ability, I don't. You have privilege.
No, I suppose that's true.
It is true. It's very, very true. I've also sat and decided I'm never moving bloody house again. I'm never going to get bloody life insurance. Ever. I'm going to have to... Actually, it reminds me, I need to get hold of my insurance company because I've got several changes in my life that I need to inform them about. So
surely they listen to the podcast.
I'm going to make your £8 look like change. Small change.
I made the mistake. I was talking to, luckily it was our mortgage person who I was talking to rather than any actual insurance person. And they asked the question, have you suffered from anxiety recently? And I said, in the last 10 years. And I said, well, no, I thought I was having anxiety attacks, but actually it was asthma.
That's very, yeah.
And that was, that had the added effect of, answering her next question for her, which was good because that was one of the questions.
Oh, right. I've got there's something on my mind, Nick, that I need to ask you. You finished with the house stuff?
Yeah. Sorry, I talk about it a lot.
I punched my wife last week.
Did you?
I jabbed her twice in the ribs.
Why?
Little bunny jabs. I was asleep at the time. I was having a dream. I was having a dream.
Took a turn. This podcast did for a minute.
I was having a dream that I was working. I can remember it quite well. I was working with 4 men, and we had a child's buggy that we had to attach right at the base of each of the legs. We had to attach clips and umbrellas. So a clip to hold the umbrella, and we were working in 2 teams. It was quite competitive. There were 2 working on the front of the buggy. And me and a companion working on the back.
Like that program with Robert Llewellyn?
I guess. Scrap Heap Challenge.
Scrap Heap Challenge, yeah.
Yeah, very similar to it in many ways, except it was nothing like it. Because I think this is all taking place underneath Scarlett's bed.
Oh.
Scarlett,
were you all small?
I don't know. Scarlett has a cabin bed, you see. So, we were crouched down, so I think we were doing it under Scarlett's bed. And we were racing a bit, and I was struggling. I thought I'd got it in, and I got the umbrella the wrong way up. So I was being admonished by my teammate. And then the other team had done it and they started crowing.
Right. That's not attractive on anyone.
I was already stressed out. I was getting very anxious that I hadn't completed the task correctly. So all getting a bit too much for me. I got stressed out and a fight broke out under my daughter's bed. And I started throwing jabs at his bread basket.
Oh.
Woke up. Realised that I'm hitting my wife in the bread basket.
Oh my goodness.
And I think I hit her twice, managed to hold back the third one. But initially as I'm waking up, I thought I'd hit Scarlett to start with, because I thought Scarlett was in bed. It was.
How hard were you hitting?
I was...
Well, you're not really restraining yourself when you're sleeping, are you?
No, not at all. So, she got a couple of blows.
Did she wake up?
Yeah, she woke up, yeah. Yeah, she wasn't best pleased. She was very nice about it because I was kind of freaked out. I felt awful.
You're not very violent generally, though. Have you ever been in a fight?
Not really.
Even though you worked in a kitchen for all that time.
I've been in fights, but I usually sort of end up getting knocked over and on my bum, and people move on because they realise that I'm not really. Got held in a bush by my throat by a biker once.
Oh, I've been attacked.
Yeah, but I've never
really been in a fight.
The last fight I had, I was about 13, cut the guy's lip and just stopped fighting after I cut his lip. So when you've cut your lip, as he rained blows upon me. But that's fine.
I've never thrown a punch, I don't think. I've been hit a few times, probably surprising no one. But
least of all I.
Yeah. No, oh gosh, I bet you feel awful.
I do. I still feel quite bad about it now. I don't really know what to do about it because I know it's my subconscious mind that did it, and it was just Nicola's misfortune to be in the way. But he's like, oh, I've hit my wife. I feel dreadful about it. I'm very fond of Nicola. I really don't want to hit her at all.
That's like that and I really can't remember if this is something that's happened with Amy and I, or if it's just a story I've heard about so many other people's partners. It's almost a uniquely female thing, I think, but where the partner has dreamed that the male partner was having an affair or something, and then has woken up and hit them, which I just find, I mean, on the one hand, you can't really be blamed for something that happened while you were asleep, but on the other hand, it's like, I bet you feel awful. I'm
giving you 5 seconds after you wake up. After those 5 seconds, it's just plain old assault.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I wasn't the only one this happened to. There's a colleague in my office who had I believe it's called a rhinoplasty, isn't it? A nose job. She wasn't happy with the way her nose looks, so she decided it's very subtle, but it's very well done. She doesn't look at all ridiculous. She looks very nice, actually.
Okay, does she listen?
No.
Okay, so you're actually being genuine about that then?
Yeah, no. Okay. It doesn't look silly at all. It's good. And her husband headbutted her on the bridge of the nose in his sleep.
Oh.
And she spent almost the entirety of last week checking her nose every 5 minutes with her hand to see if it's still there. That'd be ironic, wouldn't it? Blowing a couple of grand on getting a nose job, and then just after it settles, your partner breaks it, so you end up with a rugby player's nose.
That'd suck.
Yeah. I'm sorry if that's I'm being rugby player normative there.
No, well, maybe. The in relation to sleep, we have been catching up on CSI because we've run out of episodes of other stuff to watch, so we've been catching up on CSI.
Have you tried watching Getting Dug with High?
No.
Okay.
And it's with Ted Danson, and I'm really enjoying it. And we've been really enjoying the episodes we've been watching.
You'd like it. Dan Harmon's been on it twice.
Okay. Maybe I'll listen to it. I listen to a lot of podcasts, James.
Watch it. It's a YouTube program.
Well, I'm even less likely to watch it.
Oh, it's good. You should watch it.
Stop
watching all of these mainstream programs. Get with it, Daddy. Get with us hip kids, Daddy-o. Get on YouTube. That's where the cool kids are all hanging out now.
So we've been catching up on CSI, and we watch a lot of murder shows anyway.
So mainstream.
Because we find murder shows quite relaxing for some reason, and and really easy to check into and stuff. But there's this thing in murder shows where, well, just in murder in general, actually, in murder investigations, they always look at the partner. The main suspect is always the husband. If it's a woman who dies,
well, statistically, you're.
So statistically, it is as Louis C.K. Puts it in a very funny and also upsetting routine, which I will probably link to if I can find it. He basically says that he doesn't know why any woman would ever talk to a man, because we are the number one reason like the number one reason why they die. He makes it funny though. So anyway, so the husband is the partner is the number one suspect always. Yeah. And we've watched a few of these shows, and what's happened in our house is where Amy's quite heavily pregnant now, and she's been very tired because being pregnant with a toddler in the house is apparently harder than being pregnant without a toddler in the house.
I find that very hard to believe.
So she's been struggling, and my snoring has always kind of been an issue, but normally she has earplugs, and so we've got this difficult situation where I snore and she's a very light sleeper, so it's not a great combination.
You're a great match.
Yeah, so I mean, in all other ways, yes, but not in this one, and in all other ways. We take my wife, please.
That's very good.
I love her; she's awesome. But so recently, I've been sleeping on the sofa downstairs quite a lot. There's nothing wrong.
No, but it's going to make you feel tired. I always feel more tired if I sleep on the sofa.
And our sofa isn't comfortable. I'm normally all right on sofas because I'm quite short, but our sofa's not comfortable. So I've been sleeping on the sofa, and it's got to the point after a couple of weeks of this, we just started leaving my blankets and sleeping bag and stuff downstairs on the side. Rather than taking them upstairs and sorting them out every single time. So we figure, okay, once the baby's here, I'll be back in the room and stuff, because sleep's going to be off the table at that point anyway. And so Amy just turned to me midway through one of these shows and said, "If I get murdered, you're in so much trouble."
Nice.
Because the first thing that's going to happen, I mean, if Amy gets murdered, I'm in so much trouble anyway because I just don't know where anything is.
Yeah.
In the house. But the first thing that investigators would see when they came round would be evidence that I've been sleeping on the sofa for the last several months.
You've just hit on something there, that worries me. It's not murder. It's like, obviously, because I'm quite anxious and I worry about things. I often worry about what would happen if Nicola died, because she is the rock upon which my life is anchored. Mm-hmm. But I also realise that should anything happen to her, I really, genuinely, literally don't know where anything is. So, I wouldn't know, our bank account. No, I couldn't get into that.
Yeah.
Because I'm such a child man, she takes care of all of our finances. I don't know where the insurance documents are, the mortgage documents, anything. I don't know where it is.
I know exactly what you mean.
I mean, luckily for her, I am almost certainly going to go before she does.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Well, luckily for you, really, sounds like.
No, I meant it. Luckily for her.
But
she'll get at least 20 years apiece at the end.
And the mortgage will get paid off.
Exactly. God, she'll be an easy street.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to put up with me. No mortgage. Brilliant. Lucky her.
And she already knows where everything is.
Although she's stuffed for the washing up, mate.
What's confusing about that for me is you don't have experience of this, but I was single for most of the time, on balance, most of the time until I met Amy in my mid-30s. Mm-hmm. I'd been single more than I hadn't been single.
Okay.
And so there was definitely a really long period of time where I knew where all of this stuff was.
Yeah.
And I could work out what to eat. And we have definitely talked about this before. I could, if left to my own devices on an evening, I could think of something really tasty to eat and make myself something really nice. I was a better cook than Amy when we met each other.
I think I'm the better cook.
Well, no, you're a better cook than me, but I was a better cook than Amy when we met each other, and that's completely changed. So now, if she's away for a couple of days, I'm literally eating pasta and cheese.
Wow.
The whole time.
That's incredible.
I got accused today of not playing games. Somebody, I said on Twitter that my biggest confusion about Gamergate, setting aside all of the misogyny and all of the nonsense, my biggest confusion is I don't understand what the stakes are, because if you take what they say, and I don't want to get into a whole huge thing about it, but
please,
if you take what the Gamergate people say at face value, and I think for a lot of people, this is actually, they are trying to take this at face value, because I've seen people get worked up about much more stupid things. Then they're talking about how game journalism is ethically compromised by all of the game people and the developer people knowing each other. Because that's what they've expanded out from with the misogyny, that game developers and that there's back scratching and back patting, which on the one hand is basically how journalism in the entertainment industry has always worked anyway. But I just don't understand. These are people who live on the internet and who came out of 4chan, which is it's all about the democratic nature of it. It's all about anonymity and the nature of the internet, and they exist solely on the internet pretty much. So if anyone's going to understand the real power of the internet, which is if you don't like what a particular organization is saying or doing, you just go and find another one that you do like, or you fucking start one. So I was like, if you don't like, that's what I don't understand. The smart people, and I think there are smart people who genuinely do believe that the game journalism is ethically compromised. I don't understand why they think that the solution to that is to harangue the people that they think are already corrupt, rather than just going and finding someone else that they do like the sound of. Like, actual journalism is way more corrupt than game journalism. So I said this, and someone basically said, well, you obviously don't play video games, otherwise you'd know what you're talking about, or something. And I was like, yeah, no, that's right. I don't play video games, which is good, because that means I haven't spent as much of my money and as much of my time this year just mindlessly playing the same video games over and over without really enjoying them that much.
Oh, I spent a month mindlessly playing Empire Total War, so I've definitely got stakes in this. It's a new industry with a journalism industry that's built up around it that mostly obviously there would have been fans, and it would have been quite incestuous, I imagine, to start with. They'd start making a little bit like we do on our other podcast, where we talk about people in the industry that we're friends with, that we've met through and that's kind of how it started. It's all still evolving, so the journalism around games still needs to perfect itself, because it's born out of fanzines and, if you like, and fan sites. So it's the way that it's grown organically, and I totally agree. There are, in terms of the state of real journalism, in inverted commas, there's a lot more to worry about there. I quite easy to see that sexism in gaming is very apparent and something that needs sorting, but I think the industry, in terms of it being incestuous, it's going to have an element of that, because these people have made connections, and generally when you make connections with people within the industry that you're passionate about, you tend to start developing relationships with them, don't you?
The thing about it is it's the biggest industry.
By the way, I should caveat that by saying I really haven't been I understand Gamergate in terms of, I've read a couple of articles about what it's about. I do not understand the issues in depth. It looks very horrible to me.
You understand?
But I've chosen not to immerse myself in it.
You understand truthers, right?
Yes.
And the Tea Party.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you understand Anonymous a little bit. You understand that the left and the right don't get on.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's basically basically, if you read it.
Well, I understand polarization.
Yeah, if you looked into it, you'd recognize everything that's happening from somewhere else. But it's the thing I'm just
cowering away from it.
The thing I've said a few times is I largely come down on the anti-Gamergate side, but actually I don't like the harassment that happens. People keep saying, well, actually there's as much harassment on the other side, but then they don't give you examples. I don't generally think that harassment is good. So if there is just as much harassment on either side, that's fine. I find it very easy to believe that the left would be as obnoxious as the right. I don't think the left would be as organised as the right, though.
No, the left never organises.
Yeah, so it's so actually I think it'd be less targeted and less obnoxious.
Because we're all allowed to have our own opinions on things, so we all get fragmented and think everyone else is a wanker.
Certainly.
I certainly do. I hate the left, and I'm really left.
Certainly though, of the people who've been reacting to me, trying to explain to me what's going on, the right have been the ones, the pro-Gamergate people have been the less coherent, they've been the ones who've been setting my paranoia. Not my personal paranoia, but in the past, when I've written stuff on my personal blog about prostitution, not my personal prostitution, but about things I'd read about that or whatever, I've had particular fringe group feminists, and I've had people on the left come out of nowhere and be weird at me.
Right.
Several times.
Sure.
Okay. Not naming any names, but Emma Kennedy as well did this to me too. So it's
I quite enjoyed your spat with Emma Kennedy. She really took you to town. It was funny.
Yeah.
I'm a big Emma Kennedy fan now.
Yeah. So it's not. I seem to be able to get into fights with both sides, but the side that sounds the most paranoid to me, the side that keeps making veiled statements about big shadowy things that are happening and don't I understand the threat, sound the oddest. They're the side I'm less likely to align myself with them, because they sound a little bit paranoid and mad.
You should avoid the paranoid.
Yeah, and is that a reference to something?
Yeah, a T-shirt I own.
Okay, and also they should, and also there's just this, like, the internet, just make your own thing. You don't have to go to IGN or Rock Paper Shotgun or anyone like that. Make your own thing. Yeah. It's the fucking internet. It's not like one game that 5 people played and 10 people wrote about.
Well, 6 or 7 years ago, I couldn't settle on a comic book website that I really liked. So I started one with some friends.
I ruined that though, didn't I?
Yeah, you pretty much fucked that up. But yeah, I did it, and I'm the least motivated man in the world. And I didn't really have a problem with comics journalism. Just I felt that there wasn't sort of necessarily a site that was reflecting the way that I absorbed comics, the way I enjoyed them. So I just wanted to do something to reflect my view of the world and the medium.
It's also crazy, and like it's very similar to comics. Actually, it's just that there's actually money in video games.
Do you think there's a lot of jealousy involved in this sometimes as well when people get very upset with the very big sites? Because it's very easy as I think it's sometimes from my point of view, it's not difficult to get a little bit green-eyed sites and so forth that have become a success since we got going. Do you think that there's a jealousy element that maybe people would like to try it themselves, but they feel that these people have cornered the market, rather than being, which is the more peaceful, the more healthy way maybe of looking at it, is do your own thing and don't worry about what other people are doing, regardless of their frigging audience?
No, I don't think these are triers. Oh, okay. Really, I think they're players. I think that, to be honest, and I've known a couple of people. I've had conversations with a couple of people where we've got really tangled up in this because they identify more as gamers than I do. Gamers.
Isn't that we found another word that makes you go very West Country?
Yeah, I don't know what that's all about. But they identify much more as gamers than me. They're more, they're playing the more recent games. They get more excited about new stuff that's coming out. I don't not get excited about new games that are coming out because I'm not interested in games. I don't get excited about them because they're basically the same games over. But anyway.
Now, that's interesting. I no longer get excited about games coming out, whereas I used to get very excited about them. I just feel there's very little in terms of entertainment that interests me anymore. I don't get excited about films. I'm looking forward to Star Wars next year, but I don't think you could colour me excited.
You've given up on life a little bit, though, haven't you?
Yeah, that's true enough, actually. I'm not a really good example.
But
actually, I haven't. I feel much better at the moment. I'm the opposite. I feel like I'm embracing it again, Nick.
Oh, okay. Well, but I've had a couple of friends who have thought that it was about different things, because there is this feeling that people have that. And people in comics feel this as well all the time, and not just misogynists, and not just stupid people, but there's this feeling that their identity is somehow being criticised, because they identify as gamers, and so do the people who are doing awful things.
It's difficult.
So they keep hearing about how gamers are awful, and it's kind of, But actually, I think I misled things ever so slightly by so there are some people who I think just think, I just want to play games. Why does it have to be political? There's definitely that going on a little bit as well. And those people, of course, end up being politicized because they feel they're being forced into having to care. I misled things a little bit by talking about big websites, though. I think most of this, and this is something that drives me wild, it's literally the core of all of this gathers around these 2 or 3 little things. Depression Quest, which not very many people played, and a few more people talked about. There's like this very small amount of quite left-leaning journalists, video game journalists, but there aren't a lot of them, and they're not writing for. Most of them have started up, like Rock Paper Shotgun has very left-leaning writers, but generally speaking, the video game journalism is still mostly people talking about kill counts on Call of Duty, or do you know what I mean? It's
just legitimate.
That's still the big part of the audience. They still get the big part of the media. They're still getting excited and doing puff pieces on the next game, GTA game, before it comes out and stuff like that. So it is actually ridiculous because it's only this tiny little area that's getting all of this attention. It's the equivalent of people getting bent out of shape because we're friends with Martin Eden, so we talk about the O-Men a little bit.
Don't tell people that. That's a bit inside baseball, isn't it? Look, there's a little man in a green suit pulling levers now. Oh my God. Next, we'll have to reveal that we're friends with David Wynn, and that's why we talk about him so much. Not because he's super talented.
He is the reason why most of the people who listen to us listen, though.
I love him, though. I think he's great. I was talking about, I think a lot about, there's a lot of aspects to, gay culture that I think I find appealing, and I can understand there are men that I find attractive.
Yeah.
And I definitely have a type.
It's a bear.
I was going through, a big sort of bikery bear. So, I mean, Dave Wynn is right straight in the middle of my sort of Venn diagram of, were I to be a gay man, which unfortunately I don't think I'm going to be able to at this point. But
you can be whatever you want to be.
No,
James.
Because I don't like the idea. I like so much about it, apart from the idea of actually having to touch another man's junk. That's the bit that really. I'd have to be asexual.
I don't.
It would be a cuddling relationship only.
Yeah, I don't really like mine, so I don't know why. Well, over the course of 41 years, I am trying I'm trying to improve my relationship with my own penis. But
I definitely think you could probably describe me as like bi-curious, but not sure. I like the look of the swimming pool. I'm really not sure I want to get into it.
I think you'd have to have at this stage, you'd have to be dabbling in polyamory or something, because it's not like you and Nicola you're quite happy with your relationship.
Oh no, I'm very happy with my life partner and intend to spend the rest of my life with her. Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think either of us really want to get into polyamorous relationships at the moment. Although the other day I was thinking, no, never mind. Do you know, that was a thought. I was genuinely having a thought that was along those lines, but it's so deeply personal. I'm not sure I can share it with you.
I think I tweeted about this in the week. I think people might be surprised at the fact that we actually self-censor.
Yeah.
But I do. Sometimes. Yeah, more and more these days. Apparently one of my wife's students listens to the other podcast.
Yeah. But no, the other day I was lying there and Nikki was being kind, and I was thinking how it would be quite sexy if there was another man involved.
Being kind?
Yeah, it's a euphemism for fellatio.
Oh, right, okay. If there was another man involved. I don't know. I mean, that's interesting. You like men who are even bigger than you. I like slight men.
Like our friend John?
No, I like I quite like tomboys. Girls-wise, I quite like tomboys, and I mean this is very gender normative.
But they're
it's kind of
they're
slightly,
ladies.
Yeah.
What sort of man do you like?
But it's feminine men.
Yeah, but
very slight.
Give
feminine
me an
men.
example. I can't picture a slight feminine man. Give me like Larry Grayson.
No.
John Ingman.
Just pretty men with nice, pretty faces.
Philip Schofield.
And breasts. I think I like transsexuals. I think that's what I like.
Oh, yeah, no, it's always fascinating. I'm trying to think of Joey from Friends.
No, not Joey from Friends. Maybe Chandler. No, that'd be too much like twincest. I associate
Simon Pegg.
I feel too much like Adam Buxton.
But he's a little hairy man.
Not always.
He's a little hairy man like you.
Shaven,
what you're saying is what you're attracted to is yourself. You really are the most narcissistic devil I know.
Maybe.
Do you, how often on average do you masturbate in front of the mirror?
Hardly ever, but that's because of my tummy. I don't like it.
I thought you were going to say it's because we don't take a daily newspaper.
Also
actually, my first masturbatory experiences, I think, involved the Daily Mirror.
I think I'm playing with my nipples.
Are you?
Oh, yeah, they're kind of sticking out.
It's just getting a bit too hot for you.
I think
you can do that you like. Much as I love you, you're not my type, darling.
I think it's time for us to go. We clearly need to explore some stuff. Was there anything you wanted to talk about?
Let's go and have a shower together. Is this going to be the last one before Christmas, or are we going to do one? I've got some ideas for next week if we do one next week.
We can do one next week.
Cool. I won't talk to you. I'll talk to you off the... I have a conversation that we're not recording.
Okay. I asked them... I actually posted to the mailing list last week, and I asked the mailing list when they... under what circumstances people normally read the mailing list, what technology they use, whereabouts they are. I would like to know where and when and how the listener listens to this podcast. So, because, do people gather a whole bunch of them together? Or do they listen to it on a bus?
Do you go to your local town hall and there's a group of 200 to 300 of you listening to this at any one time?
Podcast,
or is it like, if you got one of those big old box radios that sit on the wall of your school and your teacher struggles to tune into school's radio?
Yeah, for assembly in the mornings rather than prayers.
Yeah.
Assembly's going to be an hour this morning because we're listening to the later. Well, it'd be once a week, wouldn't it? Every Tuesday.
And did everyone in the room, when I said I think I might be a little bit bi-curious, go, I fucking knew it?
So email us about that. Or there is actually on the website, there's a little on the left-hand side, there's a little button you can press and you can leave us a voicemail. Nobody ever has. It'd be interesting.
No, you've left one.
I left one, yeah.
Can I say before we go as well, can I just say that if any Dave Wins out there were embarrassed or upset by any of my comments, I'm sorry, I really do care about you very deeply, but
I think that was kind of what...
No, I don't want you to feel like I'm coming on too heavy.
No, that'd be... we don't want to make anyone feel sexually threatened.
No.
It's as good a place to leave it as any, really, isn't it?
So probably I ought to go home and rethink my life, I think.
Bye-bye, James.
Bye-bye.